الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين. So we were discussing about the wajibat of the prayers. The wajibat of prayers are 11 in total, and we discussed the first one, which was niyat, the intention, already, and now the second one is takbiratul ihram, which is the first Allahu Akbar. So first Allahu Akbar is what we call takbiratul ihram. So this is the only Allahu Akbar which is wajib in Salat. All the rest are mustahab. And Allahu Akbaru. That's the word. But when you stop there, you will drop the dhamma and you will say Allahu Akbar with the jazm at the end. So there are a few things to remember about the wajib. This is a pillar wajib, wajibun rukni. This is also a pillar wajib, wajibun rukni. So for takbiratul ihram, there are a few things. First, that we need to remember that it has to be said in the correct Arabic pronunciation. It's correct. It's necessary. It's wajib to say it in correct Arabic pronunciation. Otherwise, the salat is going to be batil. Your salat will not even start without that. And the second thing, you need to say it with. And we need to say it without gap. So no one should say Allah and then make a gap here and then say Akbar. This is not acceptable. Those two kalima, two words need to be said without a gap in the middle. Allahu Akbar. Connected. It should be said without a gap. Yeah, this is necessary. You cannot say Allah and then you wait for a while and then say Akbar. That's not going to be counted. This is the shara'it of the sihhat of takbir. We are talking about the conditions for the Allahu Akbar, takbiratul ihram to be considered as sahih and correct, to make our salat sahih and correct. So if we don't fulfill these shara'it, Allahu Akbar will not be done correctly, and obviously then Salat will also not be starting. Yeah, I will come to that very soon, inshallah. So the third thing is, the third shart is according to ihtiyatul wujubi, ihtiyatul wajib, how we say in Farsi or Urdu. In Arabic we say ihtiyatul wujubi. Third one is according to ihtiyatul wujubi, that it should not be connected to what is before it. Allahu Akbar should not be connected to what is before it. What is before it is iqama. We say the iqama, and the last word of iqama is la ilaha illallah. So you are not supposed to, according to ihtiyat wujubi, ihtiyat wajib, we are not supposed to say, when we are saying iqama, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. First of all, that won't be the right way to say. If we want to connect, it would be la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, not la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, because this hamza is hamzatul wasl. So if there is la ilaha illallah ahead of it, then you have to connect this hamza to this lam of Allah. So there will be hamzatul wasl sign here. If you want to connect, then it would be la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. But according to ihtiyat wajib, ihtiyat wujubi, we are not supposed to connect. So there should not be any connection between the two. You need to keep this separate, which means you say la ilaha illallah and you stop here on the ha. So don't say la ilaha illallah, waqf bis sukoon, you stop with sukoon, you say la ilaha illallah. You take a breath and then you say Allahu Akbar. So we, according to ihtiyat wujubi, ihtiyat wajib, we do not connect what is before it, which is the last sentence of iqamat, with Allahu Akbar. Is that clear? And the fourth and the last condition for takbiratul ihram to be correct is that it should have istiqrarul badan, which means your body has to be stationary. Not moving. Body should be stationary, not moving. If you say it Allahu Akbar in the moving condition, your chest is moving, the body is shaking, then it is batil. And when Allahu Akbar is batil, obviously your salat did not even start. Yeah, whatever you are talking ahead of it. This is the usual thing that people say. That's why I gave this example. If you read some dua, don't connect that dua with that. Whatever comes before it, what is before it? Whatever is before it, don't connect it with Allahu Akbar. So, now, so these are the four conditions for takbiratul ihram to be considered as correct. Now there's a fifth thing, which is, this is not part of the condition, but I just want to say about the connecting Allahu Akbar with what is after it. Connecting Allahu Akbar with what is after it is, is allowed to do. It's not haram or something, mamnu. We have something that we have been stopped from. You can connect it with something after it. What is after it? Obviously is Bismillah. Or it is also mustahab in the shar and the sharia to say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim before we start the Fatiha. It is a mustahab. We have so many mustahab things that we usually don't do, but they are mustahab things. So isti'adha. Isti'adha is the short form of A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. This is called isti'adha. Like Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, we call it Basmala. Isn't it right? So isti'adha is mustahab before you start the Fatiha. So you say takbiratul ihram, Allahu Akbar. Now you want to start your Bismillah for the Fatiha. You first say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Mustahab. So if you want to connect Allahu Akbar, the takbiratul ihram, with what is after it, whether you are saying isti'adha or you're directly reading the Surah Al-Fatiha and the Bismillah with its niyat of Fatiha, in that case, obviously what is required is you will pronounce the Dhamma. You would say Allahu Akbaru Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is the way we would do it. Simple basic principle of tajweed. You will wasl bil haraka. You will connect with mentioning the harakat, means the i'rab of the akhir al-kalima, the end of the letter. So you will say Allahu Akbaru Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. That's the way we'll connect it, if you want to connect. If you don't want to connect, that's okay. But this is the way we do it. So these are the basic rulings about Takbiratul Ihram, and this is the only Allahu Akbar which is wajib. Now, meaning of Allahu Akbar is Imam as-Sadiq alayhi salam had asked someone about the meaning, and this person replies back to the Imam that Allahu Akbaru, this person said Allahu Akbaru min kulli shay'in. And then Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says that haddadtahu, you made Allah as limited. You have limited Allah. And then Imam alayhi salam said, so this is the real meaning of Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbaru min an yusaf. Allah is greater than what it can be, he can be described. So that means there is no description which can describe Allah. Allah is bigger than any possible description about Him. So that's the meaning that we intend from Allahu Akbar, that He is undescribable. His wasf is undoable. We cannot properly and really and truly and completely describe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His description is not a doable and possible thing. So if we consider Allah is bigger than everything, that means everything is there to be compared to Allah. There is nothing that can be compared to Allah. Nothing is parallel. Nothing is on the level of comparison with Allah. You compare things of the same category and level. Isn't it right? So you don't compare things which are not of the same category. In everything we do the same thing. Everything of this dunya also we do the same thing. You don't compare, you don't compare, even if you compare a car, you compare the car of the same power and engine and strength, isn't it right? So if it's a car of the same category, you compare with the cars of the same category. That's the way it is done. You don't compare a car which is smaller with a car which is bigger. So, but then, for this, in the case of Allah, there was no one there and nothing there when He was there. So no one was there to be compared to Him. It's unjust, walaikum salam, to compare anything with Allah, because nothing, no one or nothing was there to be compared, and nothing is of His parallel and category to be compared. So He, everything, what we call thing, which means mawjood. Any of the mawjudat. So there's no mawjud. Ma'doom is not even there to bring it up in the discussion. Ma'doom means non-existence. Non-existence. Things which are non-existent. So non-existent things are imaginary. You can imagine whatsoever you want, even in non-existent things. You can do that. You can think about impossibles also in your mind. Farzul muhal laysa bi muhal. Thinking about impossibles is not an impossible thing. So we can imagine about impossibles. But obviously every mawjood, so all the mawjudat are created by Him. He's the creator, isn't it right? But He was there before every creation. So if you bring the creations and then you compare with Allah, that's basically you're limiting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's limitless essence and existence. Also it's an insult, isn't it right? Also it's a kind of insult to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to compare Him with anything. In the Hadith al-Qudsi it says, Ana shay'un laysa kal ashya. I am a thing unlike other things. La uqasu bin nas. I cannot be compared with the people. All the sifat of makhluqeen are just gone. Everything that the creatures are attributed with those sifat and attributes, you just keep them aside. Attributes of creatures, we negate from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. La uqasu bin nas wa la usufu bil shubuhat. And I cannot be described with the thoughts. So shubuhat, our imaginations are our own imaginations. So whatever we think, mardudun ilaykum, makhluqun lakum, mardudun ilaykum. Whatever we think in our minds, that's our mental creation. That's the creation of our mind. Mardudun ilaykum, it returns back to us. It's nothing to do with Allah. Anything that we think of Allah in our mind is our own imaginary creation, not Allah. So we cannot think Allah inside our minds. Whatever you think about Allah inside the mind, that's your own creation of your mind. It's nothing to do with Allah. Because Allah cannot be described by the ideas of the minds. So coming back to what we are saying is the discussion of the second wajib, which is pillar wajib rukni of the salat. These are the four shara'it al-sihha, conditions for the correctness of the takbiratul ihram, the first Allahu Akbar, which is the only Allahu Akbar that is wajib. All the rest are mustahab. So you are not supposed to connect with whatever before it, but you are allowed to connect Allahu Akbar with what is after it, then you'll say the Dhamma. So, yeah, this is about takbiratul ihram.
Raising hands is not part of the
Yes, this is a good question. Raising hand is another mustahab which is separate. It's mustahab that you raise your hand. You combine your palms, your 10 fingers you combine together, and your hands are on the thighs. So you raise your hands. When you start Allahu Akbar, you start raising your hands along with Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. By the time you say bar, the ra, your fingers are close to the lobes of the ear, and the palms are facing towards Qibla. This is mustahab to do. Allahu Akbar. So this is mustahab. So instead of holding our hand like this and then we say Allahu Akbar, and this is obviously we will miss on the sawab. So it's mustahab. It's not wajib to raise your hand for any Allahu Akbar. It's mustahab to raise your hands. Even for takbiratul ihram, it's mustahab to raise the hands like I described. But if you don't want to raise your hand, you just stand like this and say Allahu Akbar. That's okay. Your salat will start. You did the wajib.
If your Allahu Akbar not saying with your action, your namaz is still valid. It's just you don't get the sawab.
What do you mean by action?
Yeah, if your hand is not
Yeah, you just missed the sawab of raising the hands. The wajib is done. Salat will start.
But the body shouldn't move.
Yeah, that's a shart. So you have to fulfill all the four shara'it. You should have istiqrar in the body. So your hands, if you remember in the Salat workshop we mentioned here in Seattle, that the hand, two hands and head is allowed to move. Obviously you don't move the head like this. You will face away from the Qibla. Like Sunni brothers turn their face and saying Salam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, first on the right, and then say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So they turn their face away from the Qibla. You don't turn the face from like this, but you can move your head like this a little bit. That's okay. Head is moving or your hands are moving as long as it is not affecting your chest. If your hand is moving so hard that you move your chest, then it will be wrong. Your qiraat or zikr that you are moving, that you are saying, will be batil. If you do it intentionally, your salat will be batil.
So
Towards a wajib zikr or wajib tilawat.
Moving hands and head as much as you described is not part of istiqrar al-badan.
It's not part of istiqrar
So
al-badan.
any zikr
Anywhere in the salat, you are allowed to move your hands. You want to scratch here, that's okay.
while doing qiraat.
Anything that you are doing, you can move your hands. Sometimes you will be losing a mustahab, because if you are standing, it's mustahab that your hands are on the thighs. If you are in the ruku, it is mustahab that your palms are touching the knees. You can keep your hand like this. Your ruku is not batil, but you miss on the sawab. It's mustahab to keep your palms like this. If you are in the sajda, it's mustahab. It's not mustahab. It's wajib to keep your palms on the ground. So if you in the tashahhud, it is mustahab to keep your hands over the thighs. So you will be missing on those sawab things if in those places other than the sajda where it is wajib. If you move your hand, well, in the sajda also it's allowed to move your hand. You can move your hand. You want to scratch your body during the sajda, but then remember, don't read anything of the sajda. Stop reading, then you scratch your body, put your hand back, and then make sure your whole body has istiqrar, not moving, then you start reading the zikr of sajda. So you can move the hand even in the sajda like this.
Same applies while doing the qiyam, like reciting surah.
Yeah, you can move the hand. You will lose on a mustahab. Mustahab is that during tilawat, you have to keep your hands on your thighs.
So if I scratch my head like while doing the
You lose a sawab.
I need to stop reciting, or
Yeah, you can stop reading and just do that and then bring it back. If you want to keep the sawab, then you can just do it quickly, bring back, then continue reciting.
And if I just keep continuing doing like that, it's not going to affect anything.
It's not going to affect the correctness of your salat. There are conditions which we call shara'it, and conditions for the correctness of the prayers. Shara'it sihhat salat. And there are conditions which are for the qabuliyat of salat, for the acceptance of the prayers. For acceptance, we need to have khushu'ul qalb. Even scratching, our scholars say, is against the khushu'ul qalb. Obviously, sinners like myself, we do it. But those high-level scholars, they don't do it. They are in the love of Allah and talking to Allah directly. Their halat and kafiyat of the qalb is totally different. They don't pay attention to themselves at all. Whatever happens, they don't pay attention to themselves. So for them, they don't do it. And obviously, for the khushu'ul qalb, it's we should ignore things unless it is necessary. That's the bottom line. I mean, you can even break your salat. Remember, we studied in the 6 places where you are allowed to break your salat. One of those 6 is that during the salat, if your wallet is there, your money is there, and a thief is taking it away. For the sake of protecting your money, it's allowed to break your salat. Obviously, it's significant money. I'm not for the sake of a cent. Obviously, I'm not going to break my salat for protecting 1 cent. So, but for a significant amount, qadrul mu'tana bihi, any significant amount, we are allowed to even break your salat. So obviously, if you have a snake coming in front of you, or a scorpio, you live in Phoenix, you have scorpios coming. If you have any threat, imminent threat to you or your money, significant amount of money, you are allowed to break your salat to protect it, if that's the only way to defend yourself. If you can defend yourself without it, do it. If you cannot defend yourself without breaking, then you are allowed to break your salat. You are allowed to pick up your crying baby after the first sajda. When you sit, pick up your baby, put in your lap for a second, couple of seconds, then you put him aside again, and then go to the next sajda. You sit again from the second sajda, you can pick up your baby. That's also allowed. So this is about Islam takes care of the duties towards others, and hukukun nas. It's part of hukukun nas. Baby is crying. So, but the bottom line I was saying is that if we are scratching the head, is jaiz to do. We should avoid it unnecessarily. If there is this little bit something, let's ignore it. Let's keep on our focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that we are in His presence. So little something, we avoid it. If it is necessary, yes, you're allowed to do it.
So just to make sure, your hands, when you finish takbiratul ihram, your hands should be by your knees.
When you finish your takbiratul ihram, by you say Ra of Allahu Akbar, your hands are reached here, getting close to the lobes of the ear, here. And palms are facing towards Qibla.
And then you just bring them down.
Then you bring them down back here, putting on the thighs.
And then for isti'adah, it's only before Fatiha.
Before Fatiha, it is mustahab.
The second surah.
No. It's only mustahab. It's only mustahab in the beginning of the salat after the takbiratul ihram. Before reading Fatiha, it is mustahab. As we started with isti'adha. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Then we start our Fatiha.
What about the second rak'ah before Fatiha?
Second rak'ah, no. I did not read anywhere that it should be done in every rakat. It's only about the first rakat. Once you seek the refuge towards Allah, that's enough. You seek the refuge from shaitan towards Allah, that's enough. Once it's done, it's done. You don't need to do it again and again in one salat. You already seek the refuge, that's it.
The istihbab is once, but if you do it again, it's not a problem. But basically the salat.
Yeah, it's the phrase of zikr. Remember we studied there are three things you can add: zikr and tilawat and dua in the prayers. Anytime you can add. So it's a zikr of Allah. It's okay. It won't harm the prayers. Any other question about takbir?
Not about the takbir, but during the salah, as far as movements, eye movements are concerned, eye movements you can, you're allowed to look around.
Yeah, eye movements we have rules about throughout the salat. It's different. For example, you know that if we are in the qiyam position, standing, it's mustahab to look at the turbat. If we are in the ruku, it is mustahab to look between your 2 feet. If you are in the sajda, you look downwards between your feet. If you are in tashahhud, you look towards the turbat again. So this is how we do it.
That's the sawab, but
Yeah, if you look around, it's not going to make the salat batil, but again, you are losing a mustahab thing. Or you can close your eyes as well. Again, you will lose one mustahab, because if you are closing your eyes, then you are not looking at turbat, you are losing one sawab, but it's okay. Scholars say, namaz is not affected by that. Scholars say that in the hudurul qalb, there are different people who have different situations. Some people find it easy to focus on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they close their eyes, because they are looking at things and it distracts their attention. So scholars have said it's okay if you want to close your eyes, that's how you can focus, fine, you can close it. But again, you are missing on one mustahab thing. So the great scholars and urafat, they don't close the eyes because they do all the mustahab things. So, but it's allowed to close your eyes for that purpose.
So standing at the turban and in the ruku' between your 2 feet?
Yeah, between the two. You have a space. We will study inshallah in the ahkam of ruku very soon. It's mustahab for a man to stand in a way that the distance between 2 feet is 3 fingers opened, 3 open fingers minimum, and 1 hand span maximum. This is the limits. 3 open fingers minimum distance and 1 hand span maximum distance. So this is how we need to keep. So you cannot stand like this, overly widening your feet. In some of the cases, if somebody does it, salat becomes batil, because you go out of the halat of salat. If the people look at you and say, this guy is not praying, what is he doing? Then this is not prayers, because the urf doesn't call it prayers. So if we expand our legs really too much, and the urf says it's not the way the salat is done, then salat will be batil. But if you, so yeah, this is the mustahab. So, but during the ruku, you look between the 2 prayers, to the feet.
You look back towards your feet.
Yeah, between your, basically, you look downwards between your, between your legs, knees.
So between your toes, because they have to be touching the ground, right?
Toes will be touching the ground. You look between your knees. No. Distance between the two toes is just the regular view of standing. You can keep the two toes there in a way. Don't make the distance too wide that you lose the balance, because we distribute the weight of the body in a way that it's normal and equally distributed. So if you are putting the weight on your one toe more than the rest of the 6 parts, then it will be wrong. We need to distribute the weight of the body in all the 7 parts of sajda in a normal way equally.
If a person like me or Brother Ali Abbas, we cannot look because something is wrong. So when we go to sujood, the belly drops down, so we cannot see anything. So in that case, we are just passing one mustahab, or is there a way out?
No, you can always look. See, you can always look like this. You can always look like this. Looking is also what is wajib is to bend this much that you are able to put your palm. Whether you put or you don't put, that's your choice. If you put your palms, you had more sawab. But if you are not putting your palms, you're keeping your hands like this, still the ruku will be okay. So it is mustahab further for a man, not for a woman, to bend so much that your back is
Straight like this in the ruku. This is mustahab for a man. So obviously if a person has bigger stomach, then it's become hard to bend like this. But you can always look to it between the feet. That's doable for everyone.
Sujood, do we have to keep our eyes on this? In such
Between your knees.
between your knees. That's possible.
Do you put your in sajda? Do you put your hands like this or this?
Yeah, you always keep your hands, fingers joined. And throughout the salat, throughout the salat, we keep the fingers joined.
So in the
I'm thinking of if there is any place where the fingers are opened. Yeah, in salat we keep our fingers joined. Even in the qunut, the fingers don't open. We combine the fingers together. See, your hands are facing towards your face. It's mustahab. Again, you can keep hands like this as well, but it's mustahab to keep your hands in front of your face. And all the fingers joined together, and the palms are facing towards the, asman, the sama, heaven. And your thumbs are separated like this. Thumbs are separated. This is how we do in the qunut. So I don't recall anywhere where we need to open our fingers. So fingers are joined.
When we put our both hands down for standing up for the second or third salah, still we keep our fingers together.
Yeah, you can keep the fingers like this and stand up. It's mustahab again that when you stand up, you put both you are sitting like this, you bend like this, and you put your weight over the hands. Instead of some people do like this. So they are putting their weight over the knees, not over the hands. You will lose a istihbab. So you have to put your weight over the hands and then like this. Putting the weight over the hands, you stand up. This is mustahab.
And also say for when you're standing, the 3 open fingers only from the front. From the back, it should be touching, right?
No. From the back, most probably it will be like this. In the front, usually it is a little bit expanded. In a normal way, you stand like this. Front is a little bit open, so you can keep. This is the minimum and the maximum brackets. The minimum distance between your feet should be 3 open fingers, and the maximum distance between your feet should be 1 hand span.
Do you measure that between the toes or from the...
That's up to you. You can keep this 3 fingers here and this one here.
So what about like if you put a 1 hand span from behind?
When I put 3 ankles.
Well, it's not problematic as long as first of all, you are within this framework. This is the least distance and this is the maximum distance. If you keep your feet within this framework, you are doing the mustahab. Second of all, don't make it so wide that the urf says that you are not in the halat and condition of salat. That's what we need to abide.
The minimum and maximum is for istihbab.
Yes.
And then there's the urf limit, which would actually take it outside.
Correct. And you can, if you want to bring your feet a little bit closer, you're not fulfilling a mustahab, but your salat is not batil.
So your salat is only batil when you make it so wide that it's urf stays. Not
Yeah.
But you say, so this is the problem, because it depends where you measure it. Like it's mustahab for that distance from where?
From both the sides, the toes and the heels. From the toes and the heels, this is the minimum, and the maximum is defined. So you can keep these limits between.
For anywhere.
Usually, nobody stands like this. Obviously, the normal way of standing is like this.
I heard there was mustahab to keep it from the back close, and then from the front three fingers.
This is what no, back close.
Yeah.
No. That's not mustahab. That's not mustahab. For the women, yes, they combine their feet. It's mustahab. We are talking about men. For women, it is mustahab to combine their feet.
But they combine it even from the front.
Yeah, from over both sides. It's mustahab for them.
Three and five men. And three is your iPhone.
Oh, so say when you're doing sujood, it's mustahab to touch your nose, right?
It's mustahab that your nose also touches, yeah. And in the regular sajdas, it's even mustahab to touch your chest. Not in the salat.
Or other side.
Yeah.
Like shukr.
So salat is not mustahab to touch it. So if you touch your nose, then it becomes hard to look back down at your feet. How do you choose which mustahab?
Well, if you touch your nose, then you're doing that mustahab, that's okay. Or you can put a bigger turbat. But a turbat should not be bigger than 4 fingers combined. So turbat should be not bigger than this. It should be less than this. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين